Hello everybody, this is Calpernia and we're here in San Francisco for the Frameline31 Film Festival 2007. We're here with Casting Pearls, our short film. It's going to be the world premiere of our film at a film festival, so we're really excited about it.
Hey there! We're very excited about Frameline31. Tonight is the big premiere, so Calpernia and I are getting ready. We're going over. We know some people are going to be there who helped us out with the film, so we're excited about that, and it should be a lot of fun. We'll take you on a little tour with us.
Hi, I'm Cassandra. Every Hollywood actress like me has horror stories about auditions.
Oh yeah, hey, I'm in a casting session. Hang on while I step out.
Again, please.
But as a transsexual actress, my horror stories take it to another level.
Well, the working title is Dude Looks Like a Lady, but we're having some problems with Aerosmith people, so we may change it to Man, She Fooled Me.
And you haven't had that surgery, right? The plot requires it.
Calpernia Adams stars as Cassandra in a short comedy with something to say.
The show is over. I am tired of dealing with people like you.
Casting Pearls. Premiering in 2007.
So questions?
Don't be shy. This is your chance.
Yes,
I have
right.
a question for Maya. I'm just curious at how you connected with Madison in the first place.
I was asked to actually be a mentor to another young trans female who was 17 at the time. This was by a group in Toronto called SOY, Support Our Youth, and it's this amazing group in Toronto, and it's about putting together queer mentors with queer or questioning youth. And young Renee and I became very close, and I was very moved by what she was experiencing. And so we talked a lot, and I went with her to a young trans youth group run through the 519 Community Centre out of our Castro, which is Church Street in Toronto, and listened to a lot of stories. And there I met Madison and was really, again, struck by how articulate she was about her experience. Was amazed when I heard about her 80-year-old grandmother, and also was really impressed that her family was struggling to be supportive. And I thought it was time to make a film where we could see that that is actually a possibility, that a family can be supportive. So that's how I met Madison.
Yes, over here. Was Casting Pearls based on your experiences? And did you have better ones or worse ones, funnier ones than that, or things you couldn't put in the movie?
Well, Andrea and I wrote Casting Pearls together. She has worked in media for a number of years in Chicago, and I've been an actress since I was a kid in different ways. So yeah, every audition I go on in Hollywood, it's usually they only call me in for prostitutes or the punchline to a joke or the psychotic killer. And then when I get there, they say, well, you don't even look like a transsexual, you know, you can't play this hooker. And I'm like, you know, but I am a transsexual. This is what transsexuals look like. And it's me sitting in the casting room with like 10 guys who borrowed their girlfriend's negligee and like slapped on some CoverGirl really quick. And that's the image of transsexuals that they want to portray. And there are trans women who look all different kinds of ways, and trans men, but I'd love it if they just tried a little harder. I don't know if Andrea.
And that pretty much sums it up. It was very much write what you know, and you know, we've been trying to change things out there for the last 4 years, and it's a slow process, you know, but anything worth doing takes time. Anyone? Class? Anyone? You would?
Flew all the way here to answer your questions.
Yes, right here in the middle.
Question for Maya. How many hours did you actually film?
Good question.
Well, we shot on DV, so we shot just over 100 tapes. We shot over a period of 3 years. And actually, though, when we started editing, the process was very quick in terms of seeing the story and the story arc. And it came together reasonably quickly.
Well, it's funny you should ask that, because every time we'd show up with Vivian, she'd be like, "Don't you have enough? I mean, how many tapes could you possibly have already?" You know, and she'd be just like, you know.
But then we'd say, "No, but Vivian, we need another scene with you." "Oh, well, if you insist."
She was just, you know, because, you know, as you can never think. The interesting thing is about. Mostly we've been done documentary films, and you know, we're starting to move into do drama. Maya's made some drama, but Maya creates some drama, and it's a bad joke. So, but you know, you can never say when you start that process with somebody that you're talking to about potentially being in your documentary. You can never really explain fully how long that is, how it's going to be, and how long it's going to take, and how much you have to actually film. And you know, we try to, as much as possible up front, describe that and how that process is going to be, but you really, really can't. And because also you don't know, it's a documentary, you don't know what's going to happen, you know, in someone's life. And so, you know, when we started out and Maya first met Madison, none of us knew at that time that it would be 3 years, because actually Madison wanted to transition much more. She was transitioning, but she wanted to have her surgery. Her goal was that she would have her surgery a lot sooner, but it was very expensive, and you know, it was very, very expensive, and so it took much longer for her than she had hoped. So we were all a bit surprised that it was 3 years later, and you know, the great thing is that we all still really are quite close. Yeah.
I just wanted to add one thing. If anybody wants to find out more about the film or contact Madison, there are cards outside, but our website is www.redqueenproductions.com, and you can actually contact Madison through that, and she is, in fact, our web mistress who is handling our website. So,
just 2 questions. One, my ignorance out of the process. So when you have something that goes on that long, do you have another project that you're also working on, and then you get back to this one? And then the second question, was Madison documenting her process along the way before you started? Because it looked like she had, one scene was either webcam or, you know, some handheld thing.
The webcam thing that you're talking about is that was a video diary. What we did is we gave her a camera so that she could at times just talk to the camera. She wasn't documenting, so one of the I think extraordinary things for us is that we were really witnessing her transition, and at times that was, as you can imagine, difficult for her, because there were times when she thought, "Oh, I didn't quite bargain for this," but in the end she was very happy to have this document. So we were the only ones who were documenting, but she used to run a website called Madison Avenue, which was for young trans people, and she's definitely you know, an activist in many different ways. She's involved. Well, in fact, Andrea was saying that she's been in touch with Andrea and her group. And the other question was, yes, I mean, we're filmmakers and we do this as a living, so yes, when a project goes on and on, we definitely have to do other work, which is also because it's sporadic. You know, we would come in and out, and it was a difficult film to finance, so for that reason too.
I'm just curious if there's some sort of epilogue, or kind of, you know, was there a wedding, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, Madison and Cameron are still together, which is what some people have asked, and no, there's not a wedding yet, but she was a bridesmaid at her sister's wedding, and you know, they haven't moved to the country, but I always have to admit I kind of smile to myself when Madison says at the end that she wants the quiet life and that Cameron wants to move to the country, because it's kind of like Green Acres, you know, where he's like Eddie Albert. He wants to be in the country and he really does want the quiet life, whereas she's a bit like Eva Gabor. She's an extrovert and she likes excitement, so whenever she says I want the quiet life, I think, yeah, right, Madison.
What was your time frame? Like, when did you start and when did you finish? Not, I know 3 years, but like how long
We finished January. We premiered in Toronto at a festival, a documentary festival called Hot Docs in April. And so we started just somewhat before. We actually started shooting before we were financed because Madison was transitioning and it wasn't something that, you know, we were going to fake later, so we just started.
I was just going to say that we started, you know, working on this film. We were going to do it no matter what, you know, and it was just very hard. I mean, I don't know how financing works here, you know, in terms of, yeah. But, you know, it was really interesting because it was like, there was a sort of like this cynicism out there with certain, you know, the way we put together our financing was trying to get a broadcaster on board in Canada first, that's how, and then we have some government support, which is wonderful. But the attitude out there was, oh, another trans film, and it was kind of like, what do you mean? Do you know how many heterosexual films there are? Or, how, you know what I mean? It was just this attitude, and it was kind of like, oh, I see, there's just one trans story, and that's it, right? You know, and that's all that we're going to get funding for, with a multiplicity of stories. And so that was frustrating, but we, you know, persevered, and happily so.
I guess I just wanted to mention too that we have little cards out front with our website and phone number and address, and so if you want to get in touch with us, feel free to check those out too.
I have a question for both groups. Both of the films seem very positive and sort of upbeat, sort of, you know, interesting and educational. So have either of you or both of you been seeking television distribution, and if so, how has that gone?
We were lucky enough right off the bat to be distributed by Frameline. They have a distribution market, and so anyone who wants to rent this for an event or buy a copy can do it through Frameline. This short is actually a scene from a feature that we hope to shoot eventually, featuring that character, and so we thought this might be a nice way to do a little calling card to get our foot in the door, to show that this kind of thing is viable and that this could work. So we wanted to show something that was political but still fun, and that's a tough row to hoe in Hollywood, but we're working on it.
In our case, in Canada, we pre-sold to TV Ontario, which is our equivalent of PBS and the Knowledge Network, and we're in discussion with broadcasters here and with a distributor here, so we're really just at the very beginning of the process.
Yes. How much did each film cost?
In blood, sweat, and tears, or cash? You know, with all due respect to your question, it's, you know, I never like to answer that because it's like, it's never enough. It just, you know, it was very, ours was very low budget, and, you know, it would have been nice to have a, you know, much bigger budget to work with. So over 3 years, I don't, you know, not very much money at all. We didn't have very much money at all. So, you know, if you amortize it over 3 years. But it's funny, you know, like on another level, it's most important that we get our films made, and you know, and really sort of push to. It's tricky. You know, we want to be able to earn a living, and you want to be able to, you know, make a quality film, and have the resources to do that, and but ultimately. And I'm the producer talking. You know, ultimately, just like we'll do whatever we need to do to try to make the films we want to make.
Our short film, you go into a short film not expecting to make any money. Usually you're spending much more than you'll get. If you're lucky, you might sell it to a network for, you know, a few $100s a minute. So ours is not going to recoup the costs. But as I said before, it's really an investment in a feature that we hope to do. So we don't mind biting the bullet just to get the word out there and to basically get her a reel, because she played 20 characters in 7 minutes. So we're hoping that'll get some people interested. Anyone else?
the water, like the swimming water theme came about. And also I'm wondering if you know anything about Madison's relationship with her brother, if that's,
The water, well, we were shooting at Vivian's, and so it was a natural thing to shoot Madison swimming with Vivian. But the water really became a metaphor about rebirth and just a very natural cinematic image to bracket the film with, and it also contributed to the kind of dreamlike feeling that we wanted to infuse the film with. Madison is very close to all of her family members, but she has a different relationship with each one, and her brother Ryan is, like each of them, a really lovely person. And after she transitioned, she said that interestingly they became much closer because before she transitioned, Ryan couldn't really connect to what was his older brother at the time because Madison, in her previous incarnation, didn't identify as that kind of regular guy, and so they didn't connect. And when Madison transitioned, then Ryan said, "Oh, actually, that kind of makes sense. Now I see." And suddenly they started to have more heart-to-heart talks. And we showed the film to Madison before we released it publicly as a courtesy to her, and she loved the film. And the only thing that she was concerned about is that people would judge Ryan for not inviting her to his birthday party, and because she said, that was a difficult moment for him that we captured, and since then, he's really come around, and we talked about it, and I said to her, actually, I don't think anyone will judge. I mean, I can't say anyone, but most people won't judge him because he's just being very in the moment and having his experience, and it's a real moment, and we wanted to show it, to show that everyone has a different complex reaction, and some people, her sister obviously, just went for it much more easily, but for him it was actually a more difficult transition, but in the end, as I say, they're much closer, and I hope that I'm right, that people really get where Ryan is coming from at the time, because everyone has to go through. I mean, one of the things that we wanted to show in this film is that there's the person transitioning, and then there's the people around them who are also going through their own transition, and we all have to, understand and respect that everyone has their own particular process.
Was it difficult to get the people in her life to agree to be filmed?
Well, Madison was very clear. She said, I'm on board, and I'm on board for whatever it takes, but each person in my life has to decide for themselves. I can't speak for them. So we really respected that Madison had that kind of clarity and respect for her family, and they came on board really because Madison knew us and trusted us, and so they went with that. But it was great that she gave each person, essentially the permission to say, hey, no pressure, it's up to you. And they wanted to, actually, because they wanted to be supportive of Madison, and her parents in particular, who are obviously quite extraordinary people, said, if this can help other parents understand, and that is the other thing that we really hope will happen with this film, is that maybe some parents who are struggling might see this film and realize, oh, okay, there can be another way of approaching this and being supportive, and certainly in terms of Vivian, I mean, she's an extraordinary, lovely person, and I said to her, and I mean it, if we all had a grandmother like Vivian, the world would definitely be a better place.
For sure.